Welcome, everyone. Today's webinar will be on the target market requirements for CDFI certification. Here's a presentation roadmap. We're going to start with answering the question, what are the target market requirements? Let's begin by reviewing the foundational target market requirements for CDFI certification. To qualify as a certified CDFI, an organization must serve at least one eligible target market through its financing activity in the proposed target market. Additionally, at least 60% of both the number and dollar volume of arm's length on-balance sheet financial product activity must be directed towards one or more eligible market components. This is confirmed annually through the Transaction Level Report, or TLR. We're starting with these requirements because how an organization meets them depends on the types of target market components it proposes to serve, as well as whether it offers financial services, e.g. checking accounts, savings accounts, cash checking. These nuances will be addressed throughout the presentation, but keep in mind that much of what we cover today will tie back to this foundational requirement. So I mentioned financial services. So as an option, depository institution, including DIHCs, that direct less than 60%, but at least 50% of either the number or dollar volume of its eligible financial product activity to target market components, have the option of meeting the CDFI certification target market activity requirements by demonstrating that it serves eligible target markets as follows. As of the last day of its fiscal year, at least 60% of its total unique depository account holders being part of the proposed CDFI certification target market components, and the eligible financial product activity it closes during a full 12-month fiscal year is directed to eligible CDFI certification target market components at the following levels: 60% of the number and 50% of the dollar volume, or 50% of the number and 60% of the dollar volume being directed towards this entity's proposed target market components. Let's now answer the question, what is a target market? CDFIs must serve at least one target market component, either an investment area or targeted population. And service must be demonstrated by providing financial products and/or financial services to that target market. Each CDFI applicant has an overall CDFI certification target market comprised of one or more of these market components, such as low-income targeted population, pre-qualified investment area, customized investment area. Target market requirements for activity are based on the applicant's overall target market. This means the 60% benchmark is based off the applicant's financing as directed to an overall target market for CDFI certification. That overall target market for CDFI certification may be comprised of one or more market components. So this graphic on the screen is trying to illustrate that we have an overall CDFI certification target market as indicated by what is centered here. And that centered rectangular shape with not the points is comprised of 4 quadrants of target market components. This can be the case. A entity's overall CDFI certification target market can be comprised of every single approved CDFI certification eligible target market type so long that they can demonstrate accountability. So that's how the concept of overall CDFI certification target market is applied. So you have individual target market types, and together they may comprise of a CDFI certification, or they may be comprising a CDFI certification target market. So I mentioned target market types. In the last slide, or the last section, we emphasized the foundational requirement that CDFIs must serve an eligible target market component with their financing activity. Um, and I want to be clear because I think I stuttered a little bit. In the last section, we emphasized that the foundational requirement for CDFIs is that they must serve an eligible target market with their own financing activity. Let's review the current types of eligible target markets. The CDFI fund currently recognizes two broad categories of target markets. We have investment areas and targeted populations. Top line, investment areas are geography-based, while targeted populations focus on specific groups of people. Let's answer the question, what are the target market types? So for investment areas, we have investment areas are a U.S. geography that meets at least one of the following economic distress criteria. Poverty rate greater than 20%, median family income at or below 80% of certain benchmarks, unemployment rate 1.5 times the national average, county population loss greater than or equal to 10% between the two most recent census periods for metro areas, or greater than equal to 5% over the last 5 years for non-metro areas. Another criteria is geography can be entirely located within an empowerment zone or an enterprise community as designated under Section 1391 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986. I want to keep in mind that investment area geographies are based on the 2020 census tracts or other data deriving from the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey 5-year estimates 2016 through 2020. This is posted on the CDFI Fund's public website under Program Eligibility Guidance, as well as available in AMIS. I want to flag here, in case this webinar is viewed in the future, please keep in mind that the CDFI Fund periodically will update the data set that we are using to determine pre-qualification for investment areas as a new census data set has become available. So please pay attention to the CDFI Fund's public website and make sure that you're using the correct data set at the time that you're submitting this application or questioning the CDFI certification target market requirements, and you're looking at this particular webinar. So there are 3 broad categories of investment area target market types. You have an investment area pre-qualified. This is a geography-based target market where each individual census tract that has already been qualified by the CDFI Fund as meeting at least one economic distress criterion is essentially the target market geography. We have customized investment areas where this can be a contiguous mix of non-qualified and qualified census tracts or counties, depending on the geography. And 85% of the population must reside in the qualified census tracts or counties. Here on the screen, it's displayed as census tracts. If you are seeking to propose a customized investment area comprised at the county level, reach out to the CDFI Fund for additional guidance. We also have non-metro customized investment areas. These are target market geographies made up entirely of either contiguous census tracts or contiguous counties or parishes, where 85% of the population must reside within qualified census tracts or counties/parishes. All units must be designated as non-metro for this um, target market type. For more information on this, we recently published and recorded a webinar that we also held live. And I would recommend anybody to go on our public website and access that webinar. So let's talk about what a targeted population is. This is a target market type that is defined as individuals or an identifiable group of individuals who are either low income or demonstrate that they lack access to financial products or services. So this is something that is specific to individual borrowers whose socioeconomic characteristics are used to determine the inclusion of um, in the target market. Individuals qualify as members of low-income targeted populations if their family income is, for metropolitan areas, 80% of the area median family income adjusted for family size, or for non-metropolitan areas, the greater of 80% of area median family income adjusted for family size, or 80% of the statewide non-metropolitan area median family income adjusted for family size. Here are the population currently accepted by the CDFI funds as considered other targeted populations. We have other targeted population: African American, Hispanic, Native American, Native Alaskan, Native Hawaiian, other Pacific Islander, Filipino, Vietnamese, persons with disabilities, and certified CDFIs. Let's answer the question, what are assessment methodologies? What is a target market assessment methodology? Methodologies are used to demonstrate whether applicants or currently certified CDFIs, financial products, depository accounts, board members, and or credit union members meet the target market criteria. These are identified and attested to in the revised CDFI certification application, as well as the revised version of the annual certification and data collection report, or ACR. For each target market type, the CDFI fund has outlined via guidance the recipient type eligibility for individuals, for-profit entities, nonprofit entities, the pre-approved assessment methodologies, and the documentation/record keeping requirements when assessing whether or not a transaction or any activity is directed towards a target market component. I want to leave with a couple notes on this section. All target market assessment methodologies must be used exactly as prescribed unless unless and until modification of the process is authorized by the CDFI fund. Failure to use an approved assessment methodology or to maintain the required documentation may result in a termination of a certified CDFI's CDFI certification. Applicants may request a separate approval of a methodology not presented or not previously approved by the CDFI fund. And this will be done through the completion of a Section 0 request before a CDFI certification application has been submitted or before an ACR submission. The CDFI fund will update the pre-approved list of methodologies as appropriate to reflect any newly approved methodologies so that these may be available to all applicants and certified CDFIs. Here is the information on Section 0 requests. I'm going to pause right here. So if you are from an entity that is seeking or potentially seeking to propose a new target market assessment methodology, you may look at what we're looking for this Section 0 requirement. So let's cover a couple examples of different target market assessment methodologies. So for an OTP African American, self-report is a methodology where an individual owner or end user self-reports as an African American. We accept that as one of the methodologies for determining whether or not activity is directed towards an OTP African American target market type. Similarly, for OTP African American, there's a visual and surname methodology specifically for residential mortgage activity. If an individual chooses not to self-report, and the application is taken in person, and if the financing entity assesses the individual's status as an African American based on visual observation or surname for the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act reporting purposes, that assessment may also be used for the purposes in determining an individual's status as an OTP African American. We also have an OTP Native American methodology of tribal identification verification. Here's where an individual's owners or end user status as a Native American is confirmed via visual inspection of a government issued or tribal government issued photo identification or documentation as described. It's saying below because it's referencing the guidance, but as described in the CDFI certification pre-approved target market assessment methodologies from a tribal entity's perspective. We also have, for LITP, we have programmatic proxy methodologies. If documented, individual, user, owner, full family income data is not available, the financing or recipient entity can assess low income status by using a pre-approved low income programmatic proxy. And this is also going to be conveyed on our pre-approved target market assessment methodologies guidance. It's public right now at the CDFI Fund's public website. I want to cover some of the recent revisions that the CDFI Fund has made to its methodology since December 2023. We've added two new pre-approved target market assessment methodologies. One for OTP persons with disabilities, legal guardianship / caretaker documentation. And for LITP, we've added housing unit income restrictions. We've also addressed the need not to be geocoded in SIMS to determine the relevant FIPS code for a transaction. We've also revised guidance for race and or ethnicity OTPs to address concerns around situations where members of an individual OTP group represent less than 50% of individual business owner or end user recipients, but multiple OTP groups together represent 50% or more of the individual business owner and user recipients of that target market activity. We've replaced census tracts as the geographic comparison used to determine whether an individual's income adjusted for family size qualifies as low income, impacting the assessment methods for LITP, including the CDFI Fund's low income calculator. For metro areas, individual income adjusted for family size will be compared against the area median family income adjusted for family size of that specific metropolitan area. And for non-metro areas, the individual's income adjusted for family size will be compared against the area median family income adjusted for family size of the primary residences, county or statewide non-metropolitan area. We've released a revised low-income calculator incorporating the above changes, and we've updated the list of FAQs on the target market assessment methodologies guidance. So go check that out. In the next section, we're going to answer the question, what are the CDFI certification application components, specifically related for target market requirements? So we have CDFI certification market records. We have CDFI information mapping system, SIMS map. We have transaction level report, or TLR, and the target market calculator, TMC. I want to leave a note here to discuss something. So applicants must create new CDFI certification market records in AMIS when it is preparing its CDFI certification application to represent each component in its CDFI certification market and, if applicable, in the CDFI certification collective review market for each entity relevant to its collective review process. Oh, oopsie, I went too fast. I wanted to also hit on this note. Pre-existing CDFI certification market records in an entity's AMIS account, including those that were in an approved status, cannot be used to represent components in a CDFI certification target market being proposed in a recertification application. Now I'm ready for the next slide. So for CDFI certification market records, this is an issue. Let me pause this recording. Pretend like we're not. So for CDFI certification market records, for any target market component, you're going to present these records in AMIS, and you're going to follow a naming convention. Here's the CDFI certification record naming convention. It is two components. You have a target market type and a number. And the format is such as you would write the target market type, have an underscore, and then put a number. The number specifically represents and what might ultimately be several times that a market component is presented to the CDFI fund. So for the first time a market record is being presented to the CDFI fund, you'll put the number 1. And if it's proposed a second time, either in a new application or in a target market modification request, then you would put a 2. So this number really represents the sequence that a potential record would be presented to the CDFI fund. Now, here's an example for a non-metro customized investment area. We have non-metro, we have an abbreviation of that, an underscore, and then if it's being presented to the CDFI fund for its first time, then we have a 1 there. Here's a technical walkthrough using screenshots from AMIS. You'll go to your organization detail page in AMIS and select Related. You'll go down to the CDFI certification market object, and then you'll select the new towards the right. Here, a new CDFI certification market record creation page will appear on the screen, and you'll respond to the data fields. We have a video tutorial that walks through exactly how to create these records. I recommend you taking a peek at that. The next component of the CDFI certification application that's relevant to target market requirements are SIMS maps for investment areas. This is a requirement for customized investment areas and non-metro customized investment areas. We're going to use, at this point in time, the 2016 through 2020 American Community Survey data set. Again, I said this earlier, if you're accessing this webinar well into the future, please make sure you're using the timely data set that is being used by the CDFI fund at that time. Qualified census tracts are going to be shown in green within our SIMS system. And SIMS validates contiguity and 85% of resident levels within census tracts. We are going to follow a naming convention for the SIMS maps name. Pretty easy. You just take the market record name and you make the SIMS map name match it verbatim. So example, if you have a market record in Amos, like the one we had in our previous example, we're going to have that exactly match what we have for the corresponding geography in SIMS. So for customized investment areas, maps can be comprised of census tracts. For non-metro customized investment areas, non-metro customized investment areas of census tracts may be comprised of census tracts, and non-metro customized investment areas of counties and parishes may be or should be comprised of all the census tracts within a county and parishes and all the census tracts within that county or parish. And we're going to use the 1620 ACS data set to determine non-metro status. And I definitely recommend viewing the customized investment area webinar, as you'll see in this next slide. The technical walkthrough is this customized investment area webinar that I just recently referenced. Please take a peek at this webinar when we go in depth explaining the requirements for each of these geographies, how to technically set them up. It's a really helpful webinar, and I definitely recommend viewing that. So the next component is the TLR and TMC guidance. So we have specifically this designated target market type data point, and that's how we are identifying transactions as directed towards target market types. So here's a technical walkthrough. So using the manual/user interface method, you can see the designated target market type. Here you'll select whatever target market component a particular transaction is qualified as being directed to. If you're using the bulk upload method, there are these CSV files, and you will use the CSV file, and within that CSV file, you will articulate which designated target market type a specific transaction is directed towards. Then once we're done uploading the information in our TLR, usually either the manual user interface method or the bulk upload, you're going to use the target market calculator. So you'll write the fiscal year that you're trying to run the target market calculator data for. You'll hit calculate, and it'll show you the results of all of your activity. I want to cover a couple key important reminders. That's kind of redundant. A couple key reminders related to CDFI certification target market requirements. Each eligible financial product transaction or eligible financial service must be counted as target market directed in connection with just one market component, even if the transaction or account qualifies as being directed to more than one target market type. Wait to certify your TLR records until you've seen the initial target market calculator results. You cannot make changes to the TLR on your own since it has been certified. You will need to submit a service request in AMIS to make any changes. So that's why it's important to wait to certify. You can use a target market type in the application without having transactions tagged for it in the TLR. However, you must have accountability in the correct target market assessment methodology for that particular component. Let's wrap up today with some CDFI certification resources and announcements. So the CDFI certification recertification process is underway. Um, for the applicants with the fiscal year end dates corresponding in the left-hand column, please look at the general application submission window in the right-hand column. I want to make clear that if you participated in something called the early recertification opportunity, these windows don't necessarily apply to you. So look at your particular, if declined, decline debriefing memorandum, which will indicate a specific application due date. The CDFI fund will answer questions from window 2 applicants about the CDFI certification submitted before 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on September 12th, 2025. After that time, application questions from window 2 applicants received via help desk calls, help desk emails, and service requests will not be answered. Technical support for AMIS will still be available for window 2 applicants until 5 p.m. Eastern Time on September 30th, 2025. If your organization needs to modify any version of the TLR as part of your upcoming CDFI certification application submission during window 2 of the general reapplication submission deadline window, which closes on September 30th, 2025, you must submit an AMIS service request to open your TLR before 11:59 Eastern Time on Friday, September 12th, 2025. Additionally, substantive questions related to the TLR target market calculator results, not related to technical system issues, should be submitted via AMIS service request no later than Friday, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, September 12th, 2025. We're hosting some general Q&A webinars in the next 2 months. We also are hosting virtual TLR office hours within the next couple of weeks. Here are some other resources and information about how to get in touch with the CDFI fund. Now we will head into the question and answer portion of this webinar. If you're viewing a recording of the webinar, thank you so much for listening. I hope this was helpful for you. This is the end of the recording.